It's love, not rule keeping. The very heart of the law, the reason all those rules exist, the very heart of that is love and mercy. It's not strict rule keeping and dotting all your T's and crossing your I's. Back that, you understand? And so this is a moment where this priest makes history. I mean, he gets referenced back in the New Testament. So really cool storyline there. We won't have time to go there, though. So now in verse 7, a plot twist. In any good story, you have a good plot twist. And this is where we have a little foreshadowing here. Now, one of Saul's servants was there that day. Dun, dun, dun. Detained before the Lord. He was Doeg the Edomite. I don't know, that's how you say it, Doeg. We're going to call him Doug, okay? Just change that E to a U, and we're going to call him Doug. So Doug the Edomite, Saul's head shepherd. Now shepherd also there, that Hebrew word could also mean strong man. So this could be his hired thug. I mean, this is kind of the big bruiser guy with one tooth sticking out that way, and the guy who does all the dirty work for Saul. I mean, this is not a good guy you want to see when you're on the run from justice. Okay, so this is one of the few people that are loyal to Saul at this time. Doug is one of his right-hand men. I mean, most of the army is favorable to David, but Doug, he really is after Saul. I mean, he likes Saul. So this is a bad thing to happen here. So a little foreshadowing there. Verse 8, David asked Ahimelech, "Don't you have a spear or a sword here? I haven't brought my sword or any other weapon because the king's business was urgent." I mean, we had to go really quickly. More lies. Verse 9, the priest replied, "Well, the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, is here. It is wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you want it, take it. There is no sword here but that one." David said, "There is none like it. Give it to me." I mean, his mind goes back to years and years before this, where he, as a young boy, stood up for his God. And he remembers that day. It was hot and the sun is blistering down. There's wind whipping up dirt everywhere. And he remembers seeing this 9-foot mammoth of a monster up there. And he's just a few yards away from him. And these thousands of Philistines behind him. And he turns around. There's these thousands of Israelites behind him. And he's out in the middle of this field against this giant. And he remembers seeing that sword that was bigger than him at the time. I mean, this was a monster sword. And isn't it ironic that David, who slew that giant with a stone, with a sling, all he needed was a sling. Isn't it ironic that the same sword that could not protect Goliath, David thinks is now going to protect him? Doesn't it seem like David's faith has kind of decreased as he's gotten older? Doesn't it seem, where did that little childlike faith who said, "I'll slay the giant," where did that little child go? Now he's making decisions on the run. He's lying to cover up his tracks. He's not praying. He's not going. I mean, where did that little boy who was so bold and said, "I could do anything with God," where did he go? What happened? And you have this kind of older version of David who seems to be, to use our term, backsliding a little bit. I mean, what's the story here? What's wrong with David? So he's got what he needs. He's got his food and his weapons, and he doesn't know where to go next. All right, so he's alone. He's got a huge honking sword with him. I mean, he's got his bread. He's got what he needs. He can live on this for a little while. Now, where do I go? Well, I don't know how it worked, but I'm guessing he's holding the sword, looking at this thing, and realizing that he thinks about Goliath. Goliath was born in a town called Gath, which is not too far from here. Maybe I can go to Gath, which is still run by the Philistines, still ruled by the Philistines. I can go there, and it's kind of one of those deals where my enemy now becomes my friend. Since I'm an enemy of the state here, maybe I can go to Gath, and the Philistines will befriend me, and maybe I can, come take power there or something. I don't know what his thought process was, but he needed some friends. He needed some hope. He needed an army. He needed something that sent him to Gath. And we may not read this whole section here, but verses 10 through 14 tell the story of David going to Gath. And it's not until he gets in the center of the city where he realizes this is a bad idea. He says, oh no, what have I gotten myself into? Because he's walking into town with the sword of the hero who was born in that city, who killed that hero. He's thinking, oh man, I forgot. Okay, I killed him, and now I'm holding a sword going into this city. This is not a well-calculated plan. This was probably a bad idea. So he panics, and this is what he does to get out of the situation. It's awesome. He pretends like he's a madman. He pretends like he's insane. He starts because he sees the servants talking about him, kind of pointing and saying, "Hey, that looks kind of like David? Is that him?" And then someone started singing, "David, slaves tens of thousands, Saul, slaves of thousands." You know, that he's hearing that little song. It's made its way down to Gath, and it's made all the charts in the Mediterranean area. I mean, this is a big thing that he is. I'm stuck here. I mean, these people know about me. I'm busted. They're going to kill me unless I do something. And so he panics, and he starts pretending like he's insane, and little saliva starts dribbling down he kind of starts drooling a little bit and gets down into his beard, and he starts clawing up the door like a madman, like making symbols and, doing all this weird stuff and yelling out and barking at people and doing all sorts of crazy things that a crazy man would do. And the king of Gath says, "What? Get this crazy man away from me. Look, he doesn't have his mind." And so they send him off. Otherwise, they would have probably captured him and maybe even killed him. And so he had to panic and just go insane, just literally go insane to get out of this struggle. You can do this on your own, but Psalm 34 and Psalm 56 both come out of that time at Gath. So if you want to read those on your, I almost said on your way home, that would be bad if you're driving. When you get home, Psalm 34 and 56, read those, 34, 56. Those come out of that little moment in Gath. So interesting correlation there. So he escapes, slaps himself on the head for the bad idea, and he goes into a cave system. Now he says, all right, I'm going to go into a cave system in hiding here. People begin to catch wind of this. It's kind of circulating that David's on the run, and he's kind of gone to this cave system called Adullam, and people begin to join him. His family finds him. Now, this is a lot of time has passed, but family is coming to join him. 400 men come to join him. These are the people that are loyal to David, that are saying, we're sick of Saul. We're not putting up with his stuff anymore. I mean, we are with you, David. And so they come, and he starts this little community of 400 people. And he realizes that he's about to go to war. I mean, he's in a fugitive manhunt that will ultimately last about 10 years. And he's got his family with him, and so he decides to send his family to Moab. Moab would be in Babylon, which is modern-day Iran. They're modern-day Israel, where they are right now. And so he sends his family away. He goes with them. And the reason he goes to Moab is really interesting. He has family ties in Moab. Do you remember this? The book right before 1 Samuel is Ruth. His great-great-great-grandmother is from Moab. Do you remember who that was? Naomi. Yeah, Naomi's daughter-in-law was Ruth. Ruth married Boaz. They had a son named Obed, who had a son named Jesse, who had a son named David. Yeah, see the connection there? And so he sends them to Moab and goes with them and stays there for a little while. And it's not until a prophet named, what was his name? Gad. Yeah, Prophet Gad. Look down at verse 5 of 1 Samuel 22. But the prophet said to David, "Do not stay in the stronghold. Go into the land of Judah." So David went there to the forest of Hereth. And so he leaves Moab, comes back to Judah, which seemed like a crazy thing. He left his family in Moab, comes back realizing that this is going to be a battle. He is going to have a battle on his hands, and war is about to break out. And it's kind of interesting. Gad becomes a pretty powerful prophet a little later on. He becomes a guy who David's kind of a go-to man for him. Out of this situation in Moab and out of the whole cave system thing, he writes Psalms 57 and 142.